I'm here at Aras ACE UK. Very lucky to be joined this afternoon, very fortunate to be joined this afternoon by two of the execs from Aras. And I thought I'd take a couple of minutes just to ask them a couple of intriguing questions, one of which has actually been seen by Rob. Let me just let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, so Peter Schroer, founder and the CEO of Aras.
Great.
I'm McAveney, Chief Technology Officer.
Great. So welcome, gents. I sat through the day's events, some very good presentations. Some of them were a tad too technical for me because I'm a very simple person. For those who are listening and watching, first question is, from your point of view, very simple description of what is PLM to you. What is PLM?
What is PLM?
Yep.
So PLM actually not necessarily a piece of software. It's actually more a development methodology or a way of running your business, right? But to manage from requirements through design, manufacturing, out into field support, with the intent of creating a connected data set, connected processes, so that you have the ability to get all the way from requirements through to the details in the field with some type of thread connection. To me, that's PLM. And I didn't say 3D CAD once because I don't think it has anything to do with 3D CAD.
Yeah. I have to agree. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, or is that good enough?
I think just the acronym Product Lifecycle Management, PLM.
The L is
right?
important.
The L is important, right? It is through the product lifecycle, not just in the design phase, certainly not just in the mechanical domain, really across quality and simulation and requirements, ideation, all the way out to the field and all the way, hopefully, through retirement and recycling of a product. That is a product lifecycle, and that's what we do.
So this was your first UK event, but you've run obviously these ACE events worldwide before.
Yeah.
What were your feelings? What is your sort of thoughts of the day? How did you find it?
Yeah. So just to explain to your listeners, right? So ACE is an Aras community event. We run an open source business model, right? So the intent of these events is to bring the community together in one place so that we can get feedback, create discussion between companies. So I think we had a couple different automotive companies here today. They're not just talking to us, but they're talking to each other, right? So it's exchange of best practices, learnings, knowledge, a lot of vision discussions today, right? Feel like we've been in the UK with partners and then with an Aras office now for almost 10 years doing business in the UK. The community of PLM users here has reached a kind of a critical mass that it was worth us having an event. And you know, if you bring 5 people in a room, there's not enough noise, right? I think we had enough people today that there was a level of noise, discussion, good questions that now it's an annual event in the UK.
Great,
Yeah.
great. From your point, I mean, you're obviously more focused on the technology. I mean, did you get any interesting feedback from your attendees?
I did. So we have a mix of people from business people to technologists, all attend the Aras community event, and everybody gets something out of it. So we have high-level discussions about business processes, but also we get into technology in terms of integration and APIs and all that fun stuff. So it's a good mix of the business folks and the technologists together in one place.
I noticed over the past year, I mean, there's a notable increase in your profile. I mean, you've got some great clients, continuing to build on that. Heard of, you know, the automotive clients. I didn't realize you had so many, actually.
Yeah, almost all of them now.
That's right. But and you've had a lot of VC funding of recent times. You know, where to next? I mean, what are your sort of visions?
Well, so to be clear, in terms of the markets, you know, we're quite focused on, I would call it heavy industry, so automotive, aerospace, defense, industrial equipment, sort of next tier of the market. There's some high tech and some med devices, but we're quite good at very complex products, complex scenarios, complex processes. Where the customer needs to do configuring. It's got to be his process, not a simple out of the box. That's where we are today. As you noted, I mean, Goldman Sachs just invested a lot of money in us. They have plans, obviously, which we can assume ended at IPO. On that journey, it's not just expanding geographically. So we're in the UK, We've been doing ACE for about 10 years in Japan. We've got ACE running in Germany for about 8 to 10 years. So the geographic expansion, that's one push we're getting. The next is actually then jump from heavy industry to next markets. So there's shipbuilding out there, process industries like plant design. That's all on the roadmap.
Right.
Just wait for Rob to build it. Yeah.
And Rob, from the technology point of view, what do you see as the next steps in your business?
So traditionally, PLM has been provided on premise. People want it in their data centers. Certainly, we want to make it easier for people to choose where they deploy their PLM. So we need to have a flexible hybrid solution where part of the solution might go on the cloud, another part of the solution might be in the data center. We need to be able to move between them quickly and easily. We need to be able to provide technology that will make it easier to adapt the software to an individual company's needs. That's something we are continually improving on, and be able to make it easier for users to engage with the technology from a usability perspective, deploy on mobile devices, in distributed environments, and provide user interfaces for companies for their suppliers to use. These kinds of things are all expanding the footprint of what is PLM.
Yeah, I mean, I noted in your presentation your focus on experience, and that I mentioned it. I spoke as well. Something I think is absolutely key. It's about the user experience, and that is going to be a focus for, I think, many vendors. Yeah. Final comment. You were asked by the audience about your key differentiators with your competitors, and I love the answer. I mean, I don't know if you can remember it, but
They asked what our 5 differentiators were, and we only needed 3.
Right.
For sure, it starts with flexibility. It's kind of unique to the Aras technology is this ability to create new business objects on Monday, be using them on Tuesday, and then delete them and do different objects next Monday. I mean, it's a very fluid PLM environment with business objects being able to create rules, user interfaces, workflows. So flexibility is clearly the one we're most famous for. Scalability, very important. We've heard of lots of PLM installations that you get past a couple 100,000 records and they start to go slow, right? We put a lot of R&D investment in making sure we can scale number of users as well as amount of data, which means we have to be able to scale up bigger hardware, but also be able to distribute workload across hardware. So flexibility, scalability, and then the last one, we call it resilience, but the ability for the PLM that the customer and us invest in and customize and make, it's got to be upgradable. Yeah. They've got to keep using it. I just had a side conversation. Well, the development cycle is about 15 years on a product that's going to be out in the market for 25 years. Sounds like a big ship, right? He needs to pick one PLM system at the beginning what's that add up to, almost 40, 50 years? He's got to be able to keep running the same PLM system. So that's going to span technology changes. Databases are going to be completely different. That's what we're really good at. It's creating a resilient platform that, one day you're using Oracle, the next day it's SQL Server, and I can't even imagine what databases are 10 years from now, but his PLM system still has to run.
Right.
And that's what we're good at.
From a technology side, Rob, what do you think are your differentiators, your key differentiators?
So the key differentiator is single stack. So all our applications run on the same technology stack, on the same platform, and therefore they are all as flexible and open and resilient as the other. So we see in the competitive landscape that a lot of companies are built by acquisition, and they use integration technologies to kind of sort of
staple guns,
yes.
Scotch tape integration.
Duct tape,
Yeah.
They bring these things together, and it results in something that is not scalable. It may be individually scalable per technology, but when you try and combine 5 or 6 different technologies together, it's not scalable, it's not adaptable, it's not flexible. And so our specialty is doing everything on one platform, making sure that platform meets the characteristics that Peter has mentioned, and making sure that we continue to build in new services and new capabilities that will that adapt to the needs of the community, to make sure we're providing always the right technology for what companies need to build the product of the future.
Great, and thank you very much,
thank
Pisa,
you.
Rob. Very interesting discussion there. Just thought I'd sneak that in at the end of the day. It was a good day from my point. Really interesting conversations with some of your customers and some of your partners. Thanks very much.
Good, thank you.